Now, about a year ago, we first tested the Honda Civic Type R on its international launch in Slovakia. That video did really well, thanks guys. Then we followed that up a few months later with the car in the UK to see how it would handle our challenging British B roads. It did rather well. That video did over 720,000 views, so thanks for that as well. You guys seem to gobble up Type R content faster than the Italians gobble up spaghetti. Why are we back with this car? Well, because a year has passed and the hot hatchback landscape has changed quite dramatically. Some real serious competitors have emerged, and we want to find out, is the Type R still relevant? Is the Type R still worth your £30,000? Now, for those of you unfamiliar with this big winged bad boy, it's powered by a 2-litre turbocharged VTEC engine that produces 306 brake horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. Now, it's not the VTEC screamer of old. All the power isn't right at the top of the rev range, but what you do get is this really lovely surge of torque from about 2,000, 3,000 RPM onwards. Bespoke Continental tyres bite into the ground and deliver huge amounts of grip. I mean, the cornering Gs in this car are really impressive. 0 to 62 miles per hour is done and dusted in 5.7 seconds, and it will go on to a top speed of 168 miles per hour. Clearly, this car is no slouch. Now, travelling at that rate of knots means you should probably be able to stop quite quickly as well, and thanks to some huge 350mm drilled ventilated Brembo disc brakes, it does so, and the pedal feel is really good through that. You can modulate the pedal really, really well. Now, of course, the big talking point for hot hatchbacks in the past year has been all-wheel drive. Many competitors have come along, put all-wheel drive into their family hatchbacks and given them a lot of power. Now, there is no denying that with 4 wheels putting power to the ground, you can put it down more efficiently. And when the road's greasy, the Type R does tend to spin its wheels a little bit. That said, when the conditions are perfect, the Type R just does the most incredible job of making the most of its front-wheel drive platform. There's plenty of grip on offer, and it's quite a confidence-inspiring machine. And with a little bit of heel and toe from this slick 6-speed manual transmission, it really, really sets the rocket alight, and off you go until you're doing some quite incredible speeds. And of course, you can lean on those Brembo brakes, which just allows you to deliver that performance with a little bit of confidence because you know the car is going to stop. That's really, really important in a performance car. Something this car really does have over a lot of its competitors is its agility. The steering is really sharp, really responsive. And of course, its lack of weight over these all-wheel drive competitors means that there's less body roll and it's more willing to dart towards the apex of a corner. A trait I really like of the Type R is that you can feel how the weight moves about the car quite coherently. Whenever you hit the brakes and it's shifted forwards, the back end goes light, and you can use that to pitch the car into the corner quite aggressively. Visually, the Honda Civic Type R has something of the ASBO about it. It's very boisterous, it's very in your face. It doesn't really care too much for what you think of the way it looks. To be totally honest, the way it looks is more function than style. A lot of the body panels have been adapted from the World Touring Car version of the Civic Type R, which is a very successful car. It's all proven in the wind tunnel, that splitter, rear diffuser. And whilst many people would argue, why does a front-wheel drive car have a rear wing? The answer is, you do need some rear downforce to balance out the level of front downforce that this car has. It's black and red trimmed alloy wheels, low profile tyres, the way the car sits, it's quite raked. I quite like the way it looks. Other people maybe want something a bit more subtle, and that's maybe something that its rivals offer over it. It's a car that certainly is going to grab a lot of attention, which is fine, because let's be honest, 306 brake horsepower is something to shout about in a car like this. Now, the Type R is a little bit less practical than some of its rivals. It seats 4 as opposed to 5, but it does have an enormous boot and rear doors that open quite wide indeed. Why is practicality important? Well, because at the end of the day, if you didn't need practicality, you wouldn't buy a hot hatchback, would you? You'd buy a purpose-built 2-seat sports car. These cars are all about having the best of everything, and so things like that and the interior are really important. The interior of the Type R is fitted with these great big bolstered seats. They're Alcantara and fabric, they look great. They are simply the best seats in its class. Every time I drive this car, I bang on about how good the seats are, but seriously, the level of bolstering you get in this is perfect for whenever you take this car on track, and they're quite comfortable on the road as well. The interior also features some nice red stitching, this red centerline on the steering wheel, and of course Honda's latest touchscreen infotainment display. This being the GT model, it has satellite navigation and also various collision mitigation systems and blind spot warnings. Now, rear visibility in a standard Civic isn't the best because it has that divider across the back windscreen, but the Type R with its massive wing isn't really inhibited any more than the standard car because the wing bows upwards and actually goes above the roofline. A reversing camera on this GT model also helps a great deal. Now, things certainly become interesting when you engage Beast Mode by pushing this +R button. This firms up the dampers by 30%, changes the torque mapping, sharpens the steering, and increases throttle response. Now, whilst on the open road, the ride is maybe a little bit firm in this mode and it upsets itself going into corners on surfaces that aren't smooth. But out on track, it turns this car into an absolute weapon. And it's in this mode that I think it can really give its all-wheel drive counterparts a run for their money. Its combination of not weighing quite as much as its rivals, its natural agility in its normal mode, which is further boosted by the stiffer dampers and less body roll, it feels really up and together. It communicates with the driver really nicely, and it's a car that just wants you to spank it really, really hard. Now, unlike some of its all-wheel drive competitors, you can take liberties with those cars. The computer's going to sort you out. If you act like an arse in this car, you have to remember that you can't defy the laws of physics. It's a powerful front-wheel drive car, and you will have an accident if you drive it like an arse. But if you have a level of respect and a level of understanding of what's going on with the car when you're driving it hard, true drivers, real enthusiasts who know the nuts and bolts, they really know their stuff, are going to love this car. Because it communicates with you. It's a car that it makes you the organic part of the machine much more than what a lot of its rivals do. Now, in answering our question at the beginning of the video, is the Type R still relevant? The answer is absolutely yes. It delivers a slightly different flavour to what a lot of its competitors do. Whilst it's undeniable that cars like the Ford Focus RS offer great value for money for the same £29,995 cost of this, there will be those people who prefer the Type R. And do you know what? Variety is the spice of life, and I don't think those people should be criticised at all. The Type R is a masterful piece of engineering, and the insanely clever differential that this car's got means that you can apply that power. It means that it's not going to kill you every time it's Tuesday just because it's powerful and front-wheel drive. Torque steer is kept at bay the vast majority of the time. One year on, I still really like the Civic Type R, and I wouldn't blame a single person for placing an order. You can have a Honda Civic Type R from £29,995 or £32,300 for this GT model. Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe for more on the latest and greatest cars to hit the road. For all of the latest automotive news, written reviews and coverage from motor shows, go to www.insidelane.co.uk.